I have metals, and they have a layout of an industry, a typical layout, located very close to a rail line. Just close to the rail line, you have the tank farm. And we know a tank farm keeping probably petroleum products will attract readily transport and other things. Those will come, those with good intention, those with bad intention. So if there's going to be an attack by terrorists, that facility is attractive. Those who actually design the facility, the safety and security consideration before putting it in place. I have other illustrations to do that. And we have to say that because chemical process industries have been responsible for going to change over to other technologies, the Middle East. And some of our countries, Nigeria depends today largely on the petroleum. And what do we derive from petroleum if we are to develop our local industry? It is petrochemicals, it is refining, it is those downstream industries, and those are CPIs. So if one of our instances of improper chemical safety and security culture is adopted by a CPI, what you have potentially is negative impact on workers' health and safety, the surrounding population that is just like what we have in Lagos, although that's not an industry, but you have the pipeline, carrying an inflammable product. And because there's an impact on the pipeline, it causes fire and people's property lost, some life lost. That is an impact of a safety incident. It destroys public utilities, the road will be burnt, social infrastructure, if you have school, if you have hospitals, business continuity, because that industry must shut down to restart. And there may be sanctions by government, that is, if the action was as a result of negligence. And again, the public has a bad perception about the company. Is that not the company that got burnt last? So nobody wants to buy the product. Well, let us remind ourselves about what actually happened in 2013 in US, which led to the then President Obama issuing an executive order 13650, which is to improve chemical facility safety and security, enhance safety and security of chemical facilities, reduce risk associated with hazardous material to owners, operators, workers, and communities. Adapted from the report of United States Department of Home Security, Department of Labor, and US EPA, 2014. Somebody who is illegally discharging waste in the neighborhood of the facility. Certainly the person is exposed, and if the item is inflammable and if there's a fire, the industry will get burnt. People in the neighborhood may lose their property or life or get injured. I have a list of illustrations to show what's having access into the. There are different layers of protection, physical protection, from defense, from what to delay the person from gaining access to enable the facility repair or take a response action. I have a list of chemicals that can be weaponized, which most of these bad boys have been using. You have chlorine, like what happened in Jaws. Chlorine is a weapon. It was used in the Second World War as a weapon. But we're using chlorine to treat water today because we need residual chlorine in our water so that you won't have algae, you have microbes coming into our homes. But again, there are alternatives to chlorine for treating water. You can use ultraviolet treatment, you can use ozonation, and others. They want to give a history of chemical and safety security incidents. Recently, we have something like that happening in India. Over 15 years ago, another one happened almost the same way. And the accident actually happened from containment. So stockpiling something that is very hazardous, dangerous, toxic, and the moment there's a leak, either as a result of corrosion or otherwise, or a kind of mechanical failure, you have the substance being released into the environment. And if it is gaseous and it's toxic, it is even easy to get around the population because it's not like a speed that you can stop. And if it is inflammable and is also toxic, it means people can have problems with inhalation, and also they can lose their property to fire. So if incident of explosion in a company in France, AZF is a fertilizer company. Is located on the outskirts of, there's a place called True. I don't know how to speak French well. About 31 people died, 2,500 people got injured. There was destruction of residential properties and others. I have a picture of them. Creating is very deep crater, not like when you have what happened in Ondo or a road recently. We didn't actually have the actual information about what happened. But at the end of the day, what was noted was that a company was supplying ammonium nitrate for blasting the rock, and proper transport safety was not observed. Along the way, the vehicle developed a fault, and there was a release, and there was explosion, and people said it was, what do they call it? Anyway, I've forgotten, I'm not a geographer. Without conducting proper investigation, but it was later found that it was ammonium nitrate destroyed and created a crater on the main road. We have cases of poisoning as a result of safety challenges. We have pictures of cases of security and safety incidents, because the CPI involved have not actually integrated security and safety, chemical security and safety into the design of the project layout. And they do not have a workable safety and security culture. Well, my recommendation is this, that there's a need for our organization, which is the arrowhead for professionals in the chemical engineering profession. That's the association, the honorary body for chemical engineers, to take the front row in developing guidance and outreach programs to help CPIs understand chemicals and safety requirements and best practices. And we should know that best practices does not mean what is static. It means what works now, where others don't work. And it means it is voluntary. It is not something that government will legislate on. It must be documented. It's not a story. Even a story is documented. It has to be communicated to the workers, get the top level approval. It must be measurable. That is, periodically it is measured. It must be repeatable, and it must be replicable. It must be subject to evaluation issues. So if there's any need to amend the safety and the chemical safety and security system, it should be amenable. It should be amendable. We noted that it is global best practice to integrate safety and security of ones or those that that are undergoing maintenance and to be restarted. But we should know that no one size fits all. If Engineer Bello gives me his pair of shoes, it may not fit me. We may have the same height, the same size of the body. No one size fits all. So the chemical safety security risk measures are facility specific and must be made either at design stage, that is for new facilities, for new industries, or operational stage for those that are existing and have never had one. And it is to be done not by one person, but multidisciplinary experts. Not every chemical engineer is well versed in designing, for example, a reactor. So if you are designing a reactor, and you must design a reactor that is compatible with the material to be processed. The most have and prioritize the risk. Again, while studying this, should whoever is an investor or the promoter must ensure that adaptation and risk focus on chemical and safety implication of the industry is conducted. That will give you information to enable you to take informed decision about what your layout is going to be. What will be the sequence? Do you need to have your tank farm very close to the gate or far away from the gate? What kind of internal road system are you going to have? Would you have escorts so as to prevent whoever may want to attack the facility from easy movement or gaining access directly? We do have other form of protections, different layers of protection. Then what kind of facilities are you going to have for keeping your products intermediate? I mean, raw materials or product intermediate. What kind of materials we use in fabricating the bulk and production storage facility? Those are things that will be taken into consideration. Then I say adoption of chemical safety and security culture in design and operation of CPI has not only become increasingly obligatory, but advantageous. Conclusion, adoption of chemical safety has become exigent and expedient. In order to maximally safeguard humanity, environment, socioeconomics, and infrastructures against the detritus effects of unsound management of chemicals. It is the shared responsibility of government, industry, even development partners. Because if you have capacity gaps, United Nations Industrial Development Organization can assist in this case to ensure management of chemicals in an effective, efficient, coherent, and coordinated manner. I have a list of references: Douglas Waters, 2016, on safety, security, and dual use chemicals. Ellen Stewart, 2016, process, location, and layout decisions. Cardozo, Geneva, 2015, chemical safety and security. OPCW, needs and best practices on chemical safety and security management. Then there is outdoor industry, 2019, about chemical storage, chemicals management guide and training for manufacturers. Oxford Export, 2019, the global chemical industry, catalyzing growth and addressing our world's sustainability challenges. Sonod and Chen, 2003, green engineering, process safety and inherent safety, a new paradigm. UN environment, global chemicals outlook towards sound management of chemicals. USDHS, which is United States Development of Home Security, et al., 2014, Executive Order 13650, actions to improve chemical safety and security, a shared commitment, report to the President. Thank you for listening. Hello?
Thank you very much, Engineer.
Thank you.
Yunus.
Engineer Yunuss.
Thank you for the presentation.
Ladies and gentlemen, you agree with me, despite the technical challenges we had at the beginning, the lecture was well delivered, and also given that we didn't have opportunity of having seen the slides, but still we had the presentations and all that he said. So before I open the floor for discussion, I want to recognize a past president just joined us, Engineer Shoide. He has also been always consistent.
Yeah, sorry, I was on another conference in the Nigerian Academy of Engineering. That's why
I know, sir. if not because you have another engagement after Dr. Wada, you are always the second in the room.
Thank you very much.
You are welcome, Daddy. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
So we can discuss the paper now, and along with the discussion also, before the Yunuss came online, we had already given up, if we recall. So, and we were trying to suggest how we can improve on the quality of presentation and also to avoid, to manage the issues we are likely to have with technology. So as we are discussing the paper, those suggestions are also welcomed. Please, you can press your name and perhaps where you work so that at least we'll be able to appreciate the issues that are coming, and also we'll be able to link it with the response that will be coming so that it will be meaningful.
Okay, this is
Sorry, Engineer Mahmoud. Engineer Mahmoud.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, does it mean that you have shared the slide with us?
No, he's still having difficulty getting the slide out. As soon as the slide is available, we'll share it on the HSE group, WhatsApp group. We share it on the fellows platform. We also share it on the Telegram page of the general, the one that ECO 2020 is using. So if you also receive it on those platforms, there are also other platforms that of chemical engineering, maybe chapters and all this, so that it can be shared on. We are going to make exception for this particular paper because normally we don't share it on the WhatsApp group. We share it on the NSChE discussion forum, because based on the directive of the council, that discussions of sectoral groups should shift to that platform in order to promote it. So, but for this one, because of the hiccups we have, we share it on the platform.
Okay, thank you very much. So our comment is based on what we are just listening to.
Yes, what you just listened to, and if there's also, you also have a suggestion how we can improve on the quality of this weekly presentation.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I have a suggestion. This is Akiola, Dr. Akiola.
Yes, sir.
Chemical Engineering, University of Lagos. My comment is just on the improvement of the whole session. I think the host, whenever there's a session, the host should try to record it from the beginning to the end, right? Now, because we've had difficulty in seeing the slides, I think the host should be sent the slides ahead of time, just in case the presenter cannot present, so he can actually share the slides when he's presenting. Even if he can't, even if he has to join us by some other means like a phone or some other device in which he cannot share things. Generally, it was a good presentation. It's nice that this is going on. Those are my two comments, since I didn't write them. Record and send slides ahead of time. And when you have got your, I said it before, when you've got your pre-run, or you mentioned something earlier on, try to record it just in case something like this happens during the main presentation. And we can always look at the slides. We can always look at the recorded slides and recorded movie after it's been done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prof.
Mahmoud, we can't hear you. You're on mute. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Prof, for the suggestion. We take as many comments as possible before we respond in order to save time. Dr. Wada, I see your hand up. Go ahead.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. We are talking about chemicals, but
Engineer Mahmoud.
Yes, sir.
Engineer Mahmoud.
I thought I had the floor. Hello?
Engineer Mahmoud.
Yes, sir.
I thought I had the floor.
Dr. Wada, continue.
Okay, because I heard somebody calling you. So, we talk about chemicals, but there is related to that, the gas industry. It's also an area of concern in our country. I'm talking about the gas cylinders that we use in the houses, in the homes. Many of these cylinders are corroded. I don't know whether they have expiry date. I have one huge one outside my house. Each time I pass there, I'm worried. I don't know what the people in safety are talking on the national scale, because this is an area that in Nigeria, we wait until something happens. I'm sure many of them have exploded in so many places, but we don't seem to be taking note of that. So Engineer Yunuss is very much in the area that this type of thing he would have a comment on. Not to talk about the hydrogen banks in the refineries. Those ones, now that the refineries are not working, those cylinders, whether they are still filled, because to me, there are refiners here. Let them also address, make comments with respect to those, because they are potential, these are hydrogen bombs. Those in Kaduna can reach any part of the town and blow everybody up. So these are national safety hazards that I can, suggest on a topic like this. Thank you.
My past president, sir. Sure.
Yeah, the fact that the refinery is down does not mean that the safety rules should not be observed. In fact, when they are done, that's all the more reason we have to be very careful. Because as you know very well, the first day you introduce hydrocarbon into a refinery, forever and ever, it becomes an explosive atmosphere. I think Yakubu is here, NSChE is here, so it's not, there is no difference. If there is something, it's a bit of carelessness. So whether it's down or not, in fact, you have to be extremely careful. Now, about the gas cylinder, I don't know whether you're talking about a gas cylinder or a storage, a big storage. Because again, DPR, the sellers and so on, they are all supposed to be worrying about those, about the cylinders. Thank you.
Any other comments? Yeah.
Hello?
Yes, sir. No, Yunus, you continue to hold on. We have Engineer Andrea Kobu.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mahmoud, and I'm happy to connect today, and I think I'll be watching out for future invitations so that I don't miss out on this wonderful platform. I tried to listen attentively, but what I had was, permit me if I'm wrong, and if I didn't get the other part very well, then blame it on the lockdown. I had more of safety and security consideration in handling chemicals, instead of the topic itself, which is chemical safety, security in design and operations. Very relevant to the industry, very relevant to the profession, that we are mindful of safety and security considerations in handling chemicals. In designing reactors, in designing process plants and so on, I was expecting something that was process specific, right? So now we are discussing, and we brought in the refineries. Dr. Wada brought in hydrogen handling of LPGs and so on. Yes, I also had more of a environmental impact assessment of specific chemicals. So I would want the presenter to throw more light on the design aspect, but if it is not available, we can articulate it for another day. Yes, we have chemicals in the refineries that are very, very dangerous and require attention. For instance, apart from the hydrogen cylinders that you have in all the refineries, you also have the HF, which is also a very dangerous chemical that you must pay very, very special attention to. You also have the hydrocarbon in the systems, and that is why even if the refinery is down, the operators have a lot of work to do in preserving the process plant. And there are other chemicals. You have sulfuric acid. I'm sure nobody would want acid to be poured on his face. So handling of all those chemicals, caustic soda, and so on and so forth. So they are very important aspects that we must pay special attention to. That is why I refer to what I've heard as safety and security considerations.
Okay.
I hope you heard me.
Yes.
Okay, good.
Who? Come again. Who was talking? I saw the national president hand was up earlier. You want to speak, sir?
Well, yes, I just wanted to say thank you to Yunus, that in spite of the challenges, is still able to deliver a very engaging presentation on a topic for which the importance to our profession cannot be overemphasized. Actually, that is why the society has taken the initiative to nucleate the National Chemical Process Safety Group, for which resource assets like Yunuss will be able to play significant role. We cannot overemphasize safety in chemical process industries and chemical engineering in its very broad, increasingly very broad applications and engagements. Even when you move in the direction of biology, where chemical engineering is presently moving to. Biosafety is also a major issue. So I am very happy that despite all the challenges we are still able to listen to Yunuss deliver a quality presentation. As to the comment on the cylinder from Dr. Wada, I recall specifically that the Minister of State Petroleum made a statement yesterday that they are working on a regulation that will make cylinders to be not to be owned by individuals, but to be rented on a replaceable framework from gas suppliers. That clearly shows that the government is aware of the real challenges we are facing with LPG supply and the inadvertent compromise of safety that we have found ourselves. Also, on the issue of hydrogen bottles in refinery and refinery in general, I can assure you that right from design to construction to operation and to mothballing or decommissioning, safety is always a paramount. Is a paramount requirement in the refining sector. In reality, we struggle with it all the time because, as always, safety is always misunderstood by top management. So that safety culture that is required to minimize incidents. Until the birth of chemical process safety has always been downplayed by management of assets in favor of balance sheets, in favor, erroneously for, of course, I can say, and in favor of, as in our own case, being able to announce that we are running all the time. But I believe that with the initiative that NSChE is launching, we will work with all stakeholders to give safety the premium position that it demands. Because it's very unfortunate. I mean, take for instance, aspect of Yunus' presentation where there was a massive explosion that created a crater in Ondo State. As we speak, nobody's aware whether there's been any investigation going on that will lead to lessons learned on how to prevent such. I hope and pray that Ondo State government is taking that issue very seriously. And as a society, we're keeping an eye on it. And we're not going to allow it to be buried until the proper investigation report is issued with the proper lessons learned. And also, clearly, leading to amendment of laws that will prevent such. So on that note, I want to say thank you to Yunuss. And I want to thank all the people that have spared their time to join us in these regular presentations. It's always very engaging. I thought I saw our power Professor Sani. I want to say thank you, sir, for finding time, if you're still on. And I want to also thank especially Engineer Shoide for always finding time to motivate. Your presence is always motivating to all of us. Thank you. Over to you, Mahmoud.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Engineer Mahmoud.
Thank you, sir. Engineer Mahmoud.
Mahmoud.
Engineer Mahmoud. Engineer Mahmoud.
Engineer Mahmoud.
He's on mute.
Okay.
He muted himself out. Okay, it's
Okay.
on now.
It's on, yeah.
Mahmoud.
Sorry, we've not closed. I'm seeing some hands. There's still some hands up. We take Engineer Bayo Olaruwajalo. Then Dr. Oda just put up his hand again.
No. Sorry.
Okay, it's the old one.
It's the old one.
Okay. Engineer Olaruwajo, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Mahmoud, and thank you, Engineer Yunus, for a very interesting presentation. I just want to
Thank you, sir.
add to what the National President said on the efforts on the, at least on the primary side, on the process safety. But I'm still very worried about the sellers and distributors of LPGs. LPG, they have all sorts of gas plants in many places, and I get very worried about the safety of those plants. And we are also aware of recent fire incidents in a few petrol stations in Lagos. You see a petrol station built almost in very close to other people's bedrooms. So what can we do as a society, at least to sensitize the DPR in particular, to ensure that they carry out serious safety audits of any existing LPG plants, and maybe some petrol stations also need to be shut down because they are just too dangerously close to people's houses. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Engineer Yunus, if you can just respond to the few listeners before, then we see which way you will go. I'll come to you, Professor Akinola. Yunus.
Sir.
Just respond briefly to the issue, just those related to your presentation.
Okay.
Leave out the technical aspects for me.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Wada, Olumayowa, on your input. On the issue of the allergen banks that you are talking about, and issue of the cylinders, Ministry of Environment is running a program on the phase out of ozone depleting substances. And one of the things we're doing is to collect the whole stock of all ODS for destruction. So I'll be glad if we can get a contact in those facilities holding the items, so that action can be done by the ministry on them. On the issue of the disused cylinders, those ones containing gases, if they are not ODS, I think they are under Ministry of Petroleum Resources, maybe under the purview of DPR. But the cylinder itself, if it is properly emptied, discharged, can be recycled, because there are strong metals that can be used for metal recycling. And that's why Nigeria does not allow exportation of metal scraps. So those containers are recyclable. Thank you. The input of Engineer Maheda, thank you very much, sir. I think he also mentioned the issue of proper storage of the items, even if the refineries are not working. I remember we worked with the refineries on the disposal of the anti-knock, this thing, what do you call it? This lead, the lead anti-knock.
Yeah, yes,
yes,
yes, yes.
Triethyl lead. Very dangerous, very explosive, very poisonous because the lead could be in the air. And it was handled by the Ministry of Environment when the refineries worked with us. So that can also be done, sir. On the issue raised by Mehoda and Yakubu, probably due to connectivity problem, the paper only mentioned EIA once as part of requirement for setting up a CPI, because you have to do feasibility study, you have to do EIA. So what I suggested there was that after doing the EIA and feasibility studies, it is also necessary to conduct TIRA, THIRA, and that is threat hazard identification and risk assessment. Now, the facility has not been set up, but it's prospective. In this locality, what kind of threats can we have if we set up a facility that will have sulfuric acid, or that will have an oxidizer that may keep some oil? And you know, using oxidizer and oil together, you can produce a bomb. So those are the things we're talking about. And the safety requirement in this case is that the design of your warehouse facility, what kind of material are you going to have? What will be the geometry? What kind of facilities will be incorporated? What type of material are you likely going to keep there? What are the compatible materials that could be used to construct the storage facility that will not lead to unpredicted chemical reaction with the items you are storing? Those are the things that I actually discussed, sir. On the issue of handling, I mentioned handling because part of the safety issue is handling. Even if you're on facility, those who work in the facility, one way or the other, may come in contact with the chemical. That is still handling. The safety issue, the safety requirement is that those people who might be handling it one way or the other should be protected to the level of the hazard. That is it, sir. I think you talked about sulfuric acid too. We need to know sulfuric acid is highly in demand by those bad boys. And unfortunately, we don't have enough of it. You need sulfuric acid in industries for production of a detergent and other things. And so they don't fall into wrong hands. So proper inventory taking is necessary in those facilities that are not operating. And we need to communicate with necessary government agencies so that necessary action can be taken. And we cannot allow them to leave. When you have a stockpile, it's like keeping a gunpowder very close to source of fire, source of ignition. We can't allow that. Thank you, National President, sir, for your words of encouragement. You are showing us the way. We will follow you. Whatever you say we should do with your guidance. Thank you, sir. On the input by Engineer Lomba, thank you very much, sir. Your discussion on process safety and everything, I think we need the document. Our association should take the lead. In this case now, I think it is current that is organizing the facility inspection, but it is the chemical engineers that should be there. I'm not saying it is the chemical engineers are not inspecting, but you need chemical engineers right in the forefront to work on behalf of current. It's not, current should not select. The just of any chemical engineers are fellows to select who should go to facility for inspection, who should look at designs before they are approved. Because I think current also has a kind of supervisory role in this instance, so that all these challenges we're having up and down, people setting up a filling station very close to homes. We have our planning law. It shouldn't be allowed. Setting up industries, not having signboards close to residential areas shouldn't be allowed. I think we need to do more with the process safety document that we're trying to produce. And I want us to think, sir, that the challenge of chemical safety is not a major problem in US. So what they have is process safety issue, because they have already taken care of that. If you are not working in the facility, you can't be there. You have control access. And if you are not supposed to be in the factory and you're a storeman, you can't be there. But in our own case, everybody moves around. Even the contractor can come and look for you in your store. So I want to suggest that the safety issue, chemical safety issue, should be incorporated into our own. Even in US,
Yunus, I think you're having a connectivity problem again. Engineer Akinola, your hand be up. Engineer Akinola, Professor Akinola.
Okay, thank you again. Thank you. I just want to thank the presenter for coming, and all of you for coming to the fact of chemical safety and chemical security. Because actually, I want to mention, it's a very, very big issue everywhere. Because chemical engineers are everywhere. There is an institution called CPRN, Chemical, Biological, Radiological, and Nuclear Institute. Why I'm mentioning this is that we find chemical engineers everywhere, in the chemical industry, in the biological industry, chemicals, in the radioactive industry, and in the nuclear industry. The chemical engineers are everywhere. And I'm glad that at least we're waking up to the fact that we have to take chemical safety and chemical security into consideration, right? So I just wanted to say that now, if we had been dealing with, if this was the Global Institute I've been talking well, I've been dealing with biological security and safety, we won't have this COVID problem we're having today. That was one of the lapses that occurred. So I just wanted to mention that the chemical industry, the chemical security and safety issues, or security and safety issues, both in chemical, biological, radioactive, and nuclear, are very important. Of course, we know about cybersecurity and cyber safety. We hear that all the time. So what I just wanted to mention is that I wanted us to realize that this is something that we're waking up to, and we shouldn't let there be probably, although we don't have nuclear reactors or nuclear things in this country, we have got radioactive things like X-rays and things like that. We should also take that into consideration as well. Biological things as well, we take into consideration as well. But again, presenter, thank you for bringing it up. And I might just mention, Professor Kuye at the University of Port Harcourt is doing a lot of work on chemical security. So I don't know if you want to reach out to him. I don't know if he was invited. This would have been very interesting to him. I will tell him about it anyway. So thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Engineer Shoede.
Yes.
Again.
I want to clarify something to Bio. I don't know whether all of you heard about Oil and Minerals and Safety Act, or the Refinery Regulation and so on. In fact, there are laws in Nigeria existing since late 60s, control all these things. For example, when I was transferred from Kaduna Refinery to DPR in 1986, the first thing I did, I almost put the two general managers from Texaco then into jail. Why? Because there's a petrol station in Port Harcourt, I think near the hotel. But they were going to, they installed LPG filling plant without the approval of DPR. And when we found out, we called them. In fact, their MD was an American. They were going to put him in jail. What I'm saying is that these laws exist. It may shock you all to know that all the depots in Apapa are illegal. They were there as a result of corrupt dealings. They will not meet existing laws regarding setting up depot or setting up filling station. There are very, very specific regulations on how you set up filling station or where you put back. So, but if people choose not to obey, or there is collusion, so I think we really need to do more about looking at existing laws, how we get them to be obeyed and to be enforced. But these laws are there. You just can, the LPG, it's been under control for so long. In fact, there is rule that after a certain number of years, you must send the cylinder back for inspection and with a stamp on it. So just that people just don't obey. Things have gone so bad now, anything goes.
Thank you.
That's what I just want to say.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you for your patience, your support, and your understanding. Once again, I want to apologize for the late start and all the technical hitches that we had from the beginning. All the suggestions you made in order to improve the quality have been taken note of, and I assure you that this will not happen again. Those that had the opportunity of participating in the phase 2 that we had, this being the third, they went very smoothly, as smooth as Katampe Kubwa Expressway. So this one is just a flash in the pan, and I assure you that the next one will go on smoothly, because we've gotten some suggestions that we'll be able to have plan B and plan C in different layers in case of any failure scenario. We'll activate all of them. Then before we go, there are 2 issues that were thrown up from this Yunus paper today. One, the need for us to address issues related to domestic use of fuel. I call it domestic use of fuel because it's not only gas that we use at home. We use diesel and petrol in our generators. We also use other types of fuel. We have an inverter. I have 15 batteries at the back of my house now. That's fuel, lots of energy. So we are going to look for an expert in this area to give us a very good paper. Then, because there was an issue that Professor Olumayowa said, what can we do as a society? So for us to come up with what we can do, we'll get an expert in this area to give us a very detailed paper on domestic use of fuels. Then we now see the issues that we pick from it and run with them. Engineer Shoede just mentioned that we have a lot laws exist in place about the implementation. So we will get an expert that understands these laws, and also that will be able to bring out all the issues to bear. So we see where we can make a contribution. Secondly, we have the society is I'm not going to go into details with this because it's Engineer Irene that is driving it. Process Safety Initiative of Nigeria. I'm discussing with him in order to get him to come and also give us a paper on this initiative. Those aspects of process safety that Yunuss is talking about that exists in the United States, that's exactly what we are planning to duplicate with this in this initiative. So Engineer Irene, who is the past president, I'm discussing with him if he can find time to come and tell us what this is all about and the journey so far, because a lot of significant progress have been made. I plead with you again, come back next week. This is just a flash in the pan. 4:30 on the dot on Saturday, we'll start by the grace of God, and it will run as smooth as those other two previously. I can assure you that. In the absence of any other, okay, Professor Ojule.
Yes, yes. Good evening, and thank you very much for this session. Last week, I couldn't get the audio connection, so I couldn't join. I couldn't enjoy it, but today I enjoyed every bit of it. Yeah, somebody mentioned Korean. I mean, in terms of monitoring, there is this EROM, engineering regulation and monitors in various parts of the country. And I want to suggest that issue of laws, regulation, and monitoring to obey. I didn't even know that, if not our senior mentioned that the late 60s laws were made on the issue of citing filling stations. And I think the same thing will go for gas plants. So if Korean is mandated, thank God, I think the registrar is a chemical engineer. We should tell him, as somebody suggested, that the EROM should help to monitor the implementation of this aspect of safety. If our chemical engineers are involved in EROM in this aspect, I think we will achieve the purpose. That is what I want to suggest. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Your suggestion is noted. Is there any other? Any other?
Engineer Yunus. Engineer Yunus? Engineer Mahmoud?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for the session. Thanks to Engineer Yunus as well, and all our senior papas for all their contributions. So like someone mentioned earlier on, we will still appeal to you that Engineer Yunus will still take as an isolation to help us with safety handling of chemicals separately. We call it shock document in industry. So I will still suggest, because like so that our professor said, it is actually the aspect we need, and is actually of immense benefit. If you can take that aspect as an isolation and do Engineer Yunus do it, another topic for us on that. Thank you very much. I enjoyed the session, and I hope to be around again next week, all things being equal.
Thank you very much, Engineer Olumayowa. So in the absence of any other, Yunuss. Engineer Yunuss.
For taking your time and delaying you for about 40 minutes. I'm sorry. Please, sir. Please, sir. Then on the issue of the input by Prof. Akinlola, fortunately, maybe, I don't know if you remember my name. I left University of Lagos. Thank you, sir. On the issue of CBRN, If you look at the profile projected by Engineer Mahmood, we're already doing something about it, but not as an individual in this case, at least at association level, Nigerian Society of Chemical Engineers should be better involved. So within my own limit as a civil servant, if there are opportunities to bring us on, I'm going to do that. And I want to assure you again that there's something coming up by the grace of
I think we lost him again.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. Can you? Yeah, we lost your audio, and it's like you are saying something important.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think you muted me.
No.
Okay,
I muted you to get you back.
Okay, thank you very much.
You can start from there's something coming up.
Yes. Let me start from what I said initially. I want to thank Professor Adefila from University of Lagos. I'm one of the product of the Department of Chemical Engineering, University of Lagos. I want to say that issue of CBRN that he mentioned, we're already doing something about that. I'm representing my ministry on issue of CBRN, but within my own little power, I will make an effort to bring on board our association. I'm just an individual and I do not represent Nigerian chemical engineers to bring on Nigerian. We're doing something about that. And I want to suggest again that the ministry is giving me a responsibility, which I think will enable me bring on board our society in a bigger way. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Engineer Yunus. On behalf of everyone, we thank you very much for your paper and also all the stress you've gone through to be able to come through with that presentation. Many other people would have given up, but knowing the type of person you are, you never gave up and you still delivered. Thank you so much for that effort.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, so ladies and gentlemen, we meet again next week, Saturday, by 4:30 p.m. by the grace of God. If that day happens to be Salah Day, we follow government pronouncement appropriately. If it is declared as one of the public holidays, we will obey. If it is not declared as a public holiday, we will hold our presentation. So we will be kept informed. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah, bye.